He carried water until his hands bled, not for money, not for survival, for the right to sit in a classroom the next morning and think. Every night, while the city of Athens slept, this man hauled buckets from the wells to the gardens of the rich. And every morning, exhausted, soaked, broke, he showed up to learn philosophy. People laughed at him. They called him the water carrier. Some said he was too slow, too dull, too poor to ever amount to anything. So why is it that 2,300 years later, we still speak his name and not theirs? Because this man discovered something about pressure that almost no one understands even now. He found a way to take the exact weight that crushes most people and use it as fuel. And the strangest part? Modern psychology is only now beginning to prove he was right. His name was Cleanthes, and before he became the head of the most influential school of thought in the ancient world, he was nothing. A boxer with no money, a laborer with calloused hands, a man one bad week away from being thrown out of the only life he wanted. Here is what you have to understand about Athens in the 3rd century before Christ. Philosophy was not for the poor. It was a luxury. You studied if your family had wealth, if you had time, if you had servants to do the caring while you did the thinking. Cleanthes had none of that. He arrived in the city with 4 drachmas to his name, 4 coins. That was the whole of his fortune, and yet he walked straight to the most demanding teacher he could find, a philosopher named Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, and asked to be his student. Now think about what that takes. He had nothing to offer, no reputation, no money for tuition, no way to feed himself while he studied. Any reasonable person would have turned around and gone home, found honest work, given up the dream. But Cleanthes did something else. He made a deal with himself that almost no one would be willing to make. He would work all night, every night, doing the most grueling labor available, hauling water and grinding grain in the dark hours, and he would use every coin and every waking morning to study. He slept almost not at all. And this is where the story turns strange, because the authorities in Athens noticed him. They saw a man who attended lectures every day but appeared to have no job, no visible income, nothing. So they did something humiliating. They dragged him before the court and demanded he explain how he was surviving. The unspoken accusation hanging in the air was theft. They thought he must be a criminal. How else could a poor man afford to do nothing but think? Cleanthes stood before the magistrates of one of the most powerful cities in the world, and he was about to lose everything. His place in the school, his name, his freedom, everything he had bled for. What he did next did not just save him. It revealed the entire secret of how he turned pressure into iron. He called 2 witnesses, the gardener whose plots he watered through the night, and the woman whose grain he ground until dawn. They testified that this man, this so-called idler, was working harder than almost anyone in Athens. The court was stunned. They were so impressed that they offered him a gift of money from the public treasury, and Cleanthes refused it. He would not take the easy way out because he had already understood the thing that would define the rest of his life. The pressure was not his enemy. The exhaustion, the mockery, the bleeding hands, the cold water in the dark, that was not the obstacle to becoming strong. That was the method. That was the forge. Now stop for a moment, because this is the part that is about you. You have felt this pressure. Maybe not the wells of Athens, but your own version of it. The alarm that goes off when your body is begging for one more hour. The deadline pressing down on your chest like a stone. The conversation you have been avoiding because you are afraid of what happens when you finally have it. The moment you wanted to quit something, and you told yourself it was because you were tired, when really it was because it was hard. We have been taught almost from birth that pressure is bad, that stress is a problem to be removed, that comfort is the goal, and struggle is the failure. We arrange our entire lives to avoid the feeling Cleanthes ran toward every single night. And so when life finally pushes back hard, and it always does, we crumble, not because we are weak, but because we never learned what he learned. We were never taught the 2 steps, because here is the truth about Cleanthes that the history books gloss over. He was not naturally gifted. Even his fellow students mocked him. They nicknamed him the donkey. Slow, plodding, stubborn. And do you know what he said when they called him that? He said yes. He agreed. He said the donkey is the only animal strong enough to carry the weight of Zeno's teaching. He took the insult and turned it into armor. And that is the first step of his method. So what exactly was it? What did the water carrier actually do in his own mind when the weight came down? Let me show you, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Step 1. Cleanthes refused to label the pressure as bad. This sounds almost too simple, but it is the hinge on which everything turns. When the court accused him, when his hands cracked from the cold water, when his body screamed for sleep, he did not say, "This is happening to me." He said, "This is happening for me." He treated every hardship not as proof that he was failing, but as proof that he was being forged into something. The Stoics had a word for this idea. They believed that the obstacle in front of you, the thing pressing against you, is not an interruption of the path. It is the path. The resistance is the only thing that can make you stronger. A muscle that is never strained never grows. A man who is never tested never knows what he is made of. And here is where modern science finally catches up to the water carrier. Psychologists today study something called stress mindset. In one famous body of research, people were divided not by how much stress they faced, but by what they believed stress was doing to them. The ones who believed stress was harmful, who saw it as a threat, suffered. Their health declined, their performance dropped. But the ones who believed stress was enhancing them, that the racing heart and the tension were their body preparing to rise, they thrived under the exact same pressure, same stress, opposite outcomes. The only difference was the meaning they assigned to it. Cleanthes did not have the research. He had something better. He had the lived proof, dragged out of his own bleeding hands, that the story you tell yourself about the weight changes whether the weight breaks you or builds you. But step 1 alone is not enough. Telling yourself stress is good while sitting still is just a comforting lie. And Cleanthes knew that. Which brings us to the second step, the one that separates the people who merely think about strength from the ones who actually possess it. Step 2. He moved toward the pressure on purpose every single day. He did not wait for the hardship to find him. He went to the wells. He chose the grinding stone. He picked the hardest teacher, the longest nights, the heaviest load. He understood that an iron will is not something you are born with. It is something you carry into being, bucket by bucket, choice by choice. This is the part almost everyone misses. They want the strength without the caring. They want to feel unshakable without ever being shaken. But the will is exactly like a muscle. It does not grow in comfort. It grows in the controlled, repeated, voluntary embrace of difficulty. Think about what this means for your life right now. The cold shower you avoid, the workout you skip, the hard conversation you postpone, the book that is too difficult so you reach for your phone instead. Every one of these is a well you are choosing not to walk to. And every time you turn away, you are not protecting yourself. You are weakening yourself. You are training your mind to flee from weight. But the reverse is also true. And this is the hope buried in the whole story. Every time you move toward a discomfort on purpose, small or large, you are casting one more layer of iron over your will. You are becoming the donkey strong enough to carry the teaching. You are becoming the man the court could not break. So here is what you do tonight. Not someday. Tonight. Choose one thing you have been avoiding because it is hard. Just one. Make it small enough that you cannot talk yourself out of it, but real enough that it costs you something. The conversation, the cold water, the 10 minutes of the work you fear. And before you do it, say the 2 steps out loud. This pressure is not happening to me. It is forging me. And then move toward it, on purpose, the way Cleanthes walked to the wells. Do this once and you will feel a flicker. Do it for 30 days and you will not recognize the person looking back at you. Cleanthes carried water until his hands bled and built a will that outlived empires. The weight was never the enemy. It was the teacher. And it is standing in front of you right now, waiting to see whether you will run from it or pick it up. The water carrier already showed you what to do. If this reached something in you, stay a while, subscribe, and let the next story find you when you need it most.